All right, so we will start this reflection. So this is only our second time. I don't think, Jerry, when you came to the Academy last time, we did this, right?
I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't think we did.
We did the Cornitas.
We did the Cornitas, so we'll do the Cornitas. That part's fun. When we went out to, we took this. When we went out to Whidbey Island, we had our own version of 3-Day Leadership Academy. At the very end of it, we kind of all got together. They had their full team come, and we just went around. They asked us to reflect back to what was our takeaways, what was our insights, what was, what did they kind of learn about that. And it was really powerful. It was powerful for us, and we hadn't really kind of debriefed with our own team of hearing what other people, what they picked up on. In many cases, very different than mine. And I think their team found it very meaningful to kind of, in many ways, hear from an outside organization, from what they learned and what we learned. So, with that, you don't have to make this formal. You just kind of go around. It'd be better maybe if you had a mic. But if you don't mind, just sharing a couple minutes, and we'll do it with everyone. So everyone that's here. Since we know now you're on the arrogant side.
I guess what I'll take away is just that, while very different, being military and very structured, and I guess coming in what I perceive is not a very structured organization on the civilian side, so it actually is more structured, but different. I was surprised to see that you guys are a little more aggressive with your feedback. In some cases, I am not positive military members can handle that. The way we're structured right now, it takes some growing into that. So, just seeing some different feedback techniques and different ways to gather data. Obviously, you guys have all the tech data to correlate all your data points and start getting your trends for analysis and ways to probably be a little more reactive than some military organizations to be to change. So that's kind of refreshing, and hopefully we can do those things back and apply at least the idea, a different approach to ours. So, thanks.
Sure.
Well, I'm really grateful for the opportunity to be here because we've already implemented a lot of the processes that we saw here. So being able to understand the why behind the process, it's been beneficial for me. I think that once you have the why, it allows more buy-in to the actual program. So I'm grateful that I was able to be here on that account.
Ditto on the thanks to you folks, and Jerry, to you folks for allowing us to be a part of this. To you, sir, I'm amazed at how open you folks have been to allow us to actually witness. Jerry told me this was going to be a little bit different. I didn't have any idea what to expect when I got here. I guess I thought we were going to get the old everybody was in the classroom. I'm so glad it wasn't that, because we actually got to just share and watch watching the application. So just thank you very, very much for that. We had a little bit of TP session this afternoon. Oh, right there. That fellow right there. So we didn't do sleep class. Don't crucify us. But we stayed with him because we wanted to apply to get better at applying two of the tools. The what's working, what's not working. We're going to actually apply that. It's time for us to review our strat plan. I know y'all change yours every 60 to 90 days. Ours is 4 years old now. It's pretty enduring. It's worked well for us, but we think that we want to do that in state to help us. And then we built a plan for how we're going to implement trust partners in our workplace. So incredibly helpful. But what it did was it really brought it all together, which is exactly what you said would happen on the first day. You said on day 3, it'll all kind of come together. Well, it did for us this afternoon. So just thank you so much for the opportunity.
I appreciate it all as well. To ditto on Quincy, yes, it gives us the why. Because Colonel Rizzuto, when he came back, he was so energized and stuff, and said, "Okay, it's December, January, we're going to have all this stuff in place." It was like, so it was like feeding us with a fire hose. Everyone is just outstanding jobs. Everybody's been very professional, very open, very sharing with the time. with your time, but thank you very much. I really enjoyed it.
I feel like there's going to be a theme.
Yes. It's like now the 30th person.
Yeah. So I will mimic the thank you to PACE and Next Jump. And I gotta be honest, everything that we talked about this week, I'm really in awe of. I'm still stewing on how I would implement this within my work center and with our CAAs. But I have to just let you guys know, the atmosphere that you have here is phenomenal. I am absolutely envious. It is great. It would be awesome to be able to implement all of this into the military. You know that won't happen, but it would be awesome. But I do just appreciate you guys taking the time out of your already very busy schedules and just kind of showcasing some of the things that you do. It was really great, so thanks. That's you.
Let me see, I have to use notes here. So, first of all, I will again echo what you set of thanks because, this is definitely an eye-opening experience for me. As I was looking through my notes, and I remember one of the briefings, and he was saying, if we don't ever use anything, then lose our number and don't call us back. And I would counter to that as like, I'm having a difficult decision to what not to implement, right? Because there was so much good stuff, and we have a whole page from our TP session of things that we want to do to implement in our organization, and it was almost like information overload because what don't I use? Because we have limited resources, and so what aspects of this do we want to make the investment in for our people, right? And so with that, I can't say thank you enough. And I think the other thing for me personally was, because we have a lot of young people in our unit, right? Most of them are under the age of 25. And so for over 40-year-olds to communicate with 18 to 25-year-olds is a difficult thing. And I think the experience, and most of you are not far removed from college, right? And so getting that perspective at a different level than an 18-year-old airman was refreshing. And so now I can go back to my organization and have a different way to look at, what's important to my younger workforce and how can I make them understand where I am, 4 military generations removed from they are, and so how we can get to find the common point and make our organization better. So I appreciate it.
Okay. Well, to tell you the truth, when this was first introduced to me, and I think Colonel Browse can echo, I really didn't think I deserved to come to this place, nor did I think I was worthy to come to this place, and I wasn't going to come to this place. And I'm certainly glad I did come, because and you guys are, some of you guys are my kids' age, and I'm in awe also, of in your professionalism, and you guys are lucky, to get this so young in your career. So I also am like you. There's just so many things you have to digest. What can I really implement in our organization? I'll sit back with Colonel Browse, and I'm sure we'll discuss some, the way forward, and see what we can do that will enhance our professionalism in our organization, and hopefully it will again transcend into the wing and maybe outside to the headquarters. So, but thank you guys very much for the opportunity, and I guess I kind of feel like the next part of the Next Jump family. So thank you.
First of all, I want to thank all of you. You've been very generous. This is my second time here. So the first time I came through this, it was in New York, and we did it in May of last year. It was pretty overwhelming, and it was really kind of hard to grasp. And I know you guys have done more work on the course, because it shows. That you've really reinforced some things and really sort of codified things that were more like Charlie writing on the board kind of thing, and now it seems much more organized, and that comes from a curriculum person. So I think it's wonderful. Like Quincy said, I'm sorry that we had to leave some of our people behind, because when we go back, I find through this second iteration that I understand it so much more, and I can put context to it. I'm just not sure I can do a good job with my people. I wish they could have been here, because I think that's going to be the hardest part, is telling the rest of them about the why and them really understanding it and embracing it. So, but I want to thank you, y'all. You're great. You're just
Well, echoing again what everyone has said, I'm glad that we were able to do this, and it appears that the vision that Charlie, Megan, Colonel Rizzuto, and Katie came up with to do this and bring people in from the Air Force was very effective, because I think the whole intent was to expose our side of the fence, if you will, to some of these great ideas and hopefully have them implemented. But I also wanted to say thank you to the staff for openly welcoming us. I mean, that was very evident. And the other thing is, I am very optimistic about our future. Whether you all stay here in Next Jump or move on to other companies, I think our future as a country is very bright. You guys are incredible. You're the age of my kids. I've got kids that are your age. So I am very, very much encouraged by seeing you all and seeing the maturity, the intelligence, and really the wisdom that you all have at this age is phenomenal. I think back to my time, and I don't think I was anywhere near the level you all are at. So I'm very encouraged by what I've seen here at Next Jump. And again, thanks for all you did this week.
Yeah, I'm feeling a lot of gratitude to be here with you. I first want to say it's been really special to be here, and I just wanted to tell everyone here from the Air Force and the Navy, part of what was meaningful was the pride I felt in knowing the service you give to our nation, and the fact that you are working on this kind of improvement with zest and wanting to do that. It just gave me a kind of unexpected patriotism, just being here alongside you. So I just really want to tell you, that. And to the Next Jumpers, you know, every time being here feels a little bit like the first time, because there's always something new, and there are always new people to meet who are going through their own journey here. And I just wanted to thank all of you for what I was talking about earlier as a just very different kind of hospitality, a hospitality that teaches you something about how I think people can be together in a place. And I don't get enough of that in my life. And you should know that for many of us, I bet we feel like we reconnect to the source of something that is precious to us by being here with you. So thank you for the gift of that too.
To kind of echo that, you know, coming from a nonprofit, this is probably an unlikely place for us to be. And I think, you know, one of the amazing talents I think that Next Jump has is that they can bring together people from all different lives, walks of life. I've never spent any time with anybody in the American Air Force or American military, and here we are. And I think that is a really kind of special experience. The other thing is, you know, we're a nonprofit supporting children and adults with disabilities, and you can say, well, what might be the, you know, the common things that we find with a for-profit e-commerce company like Next Jump? And actually, the similarities are profound. You know, the wanting to do good, the belief in good nutrition and exercise, and, you know, transparency and honesty and the development and goodness and wanting to do good. And I think that is incredibly inspiring. And I think, you know, we as a nonprofit here in Massachusetts, we're a little bit of an outlier in the sense that we are non-traditional nonprofit. So we don't do traditional things like group homes and residentials. And I think that sometimes it's almost a little bit lonely. So here we come, and I feel incredibly validated by Next Jump that they're really so kindred in spirit to us. So some of the, you know, conversations we have with the Air Force folks, they also are really kind of similar. And that we have an opportunity for us to come together and to celebrate that is really quite amazing. The other thing I find quite amazing is that I was so touched that there are two CEOs who we have the privilege to watch grieve and cry and making themselves vulnerable and being open, and at the same time being so incredibly inspiring, touching, you know, enabling us to think about it different ways. Like, I can't wait to go home, and I can't wait to go to the agency and say, I want to bring all this. This is just so amazing. Look at this. And it's just so incredibly invigorating. And since English is my second language, you know, I was asking Jerry here, so can you help me? I want to find English words. I want to send Charlie another email. I want to be looking stupid, right? It's not my first language. So what are the words for full-hearted, full-minded, and full-souled? Because this is how I feel. Jerry informed me there aren't such words like this, but he thinks it is perfectly fine for me to use those words in an email. So, you know, but that's how I feel. And it was probably, I have to tell you, one of the more profound experiences in my American life. So thank you all really very much.
So thank you again, Next Jump, for having me. I very similar kind of seeing evolution over time. This is my 4th interaction with Next Jump folks in different locations all over the country at this point. So getting to see how you iterate the academy, also getting to see how you iterate the way you translate your language to DoD language, and some of the questions that arise again and again from DoD folks. I think you're starting to see patterns, and you're starting to anticipate those patterns and know how to make the translation work a little more smoothly and maybe get our buy-in a little more quickly. So I've been really impressed with seeing that change, so that's really, really neat, so thank you.
Yes, God.
I'll take a guess. As an honored guest, not a member of the military or PACE, it's you know, really humbling to be here. One of the discussions we had at lunch today was about service, and it was talking to Dr. Ham and Liz, and it was just, for me, I was talking about my son who's in the military, talking about father-in-law who's in the military, and these guys being in the military, and thankful for their service. And then talking to Liz about being a teacher and how that's service. And then, you know, and I don't think of what I do as service, but it's service. And it's inspiring to sit here with all of you and realize that maybe you do or maybe you don't. What you're doing is serving. You're serving the greater good, the greater humanity because of Charlie and Megan's vision. And that is truly inspiring. And, you know, being here and educating and teaching people, and you know, whether it's us or other corporate entities, and taking that vision and helping people maybe change their vision, adapt their vision, to see things in a different light. We all view things through our lenses of what we've learned through life up until this point. And over the past 3 days, my eyes are opened a little wider. Yeah, and it's truly truly humbling and amazing, and a lot of wonderful people here, and thank you.
Sure. So my TP and I don't think we had the memo that everybody else had, so we had this big sheet of paper that we wrote takeaways on. So maybe we didn't get that same memo. But, we out of all the things that we learned here, we picked 3 big things that we thought that we could take back to our organizations without ruffling any feathers. One of those things were talking partners and no LHF. We kind of put some of the Air Force terms within your meet, vent, and work. We use forming as meet, storming and norming as vent, and performing as work, so that we could kind of go back to the Air Force and relate those things to them so that they can understand in a language that we use. Feedback, when I look at your feedback here, for me, that's more of an accountability thing. In the Air Force, we say, hold the line. And sometimes we forget, we just walk past things. You know, someone, they weren't in regulation in their uniform. I'm just gonna walk past that. You know, I didn't provide them any feedback, shame on me. So when I see that you do the feedback that you do here, you don't allow your folks to flatline or be motionless or dead. That's why when I see the flat line, I think about death and motionless. So you don't allow your people to do that because you provide constant feedback. And when that feedback is not there, you know, it's not that the person is hiding, you know, it's that there's no feedback. So thank you for, you know, providing us with the tools that we could use in our organizations. And I've had a blast since I've been here. I think if I went back and told people that this really existed, they probably wouldn't believe me. But we have other witnesses. So thank you. You know, I think that made bonds with a few people here, and it's like I've known them my entire life. So thank you.
Obviously, I'm not going to add anything new, but I'll just repeat a few things. First, obviously, thank you. First to PACE for inviting us, and then to Next Jump for receiving us. It really has been an awesome week, and I think just really amazing to watch you guys and how just how everything runs and how you do everything. It's very apparent that everybody cares very much about what you guys are doing here, and again, it's very apparent. I think we haven't talked about it for a while, but at the beginning, struggling with a huge military organization. How do we take what we learned here and apply it back home? But for me personally, I guess I'm just going to focus on my little circle of influence and what I can do, and just take as many of the tools that we've learned and the attitude, which is amazing, and take that back home and implement it.
So, you know, at PACE we say, I like to say at least, I'm one of the Enhancing Human Capital presenters, we're trying to make better people, to make better airmen, to make a better Air Force, to make for better national defense, because that's what you all are expecting out of us when you know, write that check to the IRS every year. You're like, you know what, I want the best doggone Air Force I can get. And so as I watch you guys, I think to myself, you're trying to make better people, to make better next jumpers, to make a better company, to, number one, make some money, but number two, to change the world. And so it's validated this idea that we have at PACE that people are people. And whether we're trying to change next jumpers or trying to change Air Force people, it's a lot of the same ideas and concepts. People are the motivation, the neural pathways in their brain, the biology, the psychology, it's all the same. We're just people. To the exact point, you know, someone asked today about where does this consistency versus intensity thing come from, and I'm going to check out Jim Lear's book, but Sinek also talks about it in his book about consistency versus intensity. And in my presentation, I actually have a section where I talk about consistency versus intensity. And the two examples that I use to show that are brushing your teeth and working out. That's exactly what, was it Charlie or was it Megan that both pointed out? I was like, look at that. and to the point where also, I actually want to be a politician someday. And I always thought a good political slogan would be something almost exactly like what you have on the wall there. Better me, and, you know, better you, better me, better us. Which then you could play on words because also us also stands for U.S., right? Better United States. Yeah.
Don't be trademark. Well, the funny part is Charlie had gone he'd gone to Capitol Hill and spoken, and he walked by, and one of the congressmen had he had hand-drawn this thing. It was better me plus better you. He'd like, so you could take it.
So, I'll say one more thing and then I'll sit down, because this is what I do for a living. I stand and talk in front of people, and I could go on and on about life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness and lots of other subjects. But I wanted to address the younger generation here, you guys. You need to understand that what you're doing right there, accelerating your moral maturity, let's put it that way. Acceleration of moral maturity, that's one thing that I think we really need to work on in the Air Force. Is the way we keep people from making bad decisions is we accelerate their moral maturity. And the fact that you guys are getting this at such a young age, and somebody else has already mentioned that, but I know firsthand, I know exactly the consequences of not having a high enough level of moral maturity when we fall into difficult situations in life, and that's because of a situation that happened with my son. I'm going to talk about that offline if we can, but I'm just here to tell you that the things that you're learning now will make you better parents, better spouses, better friend, better whatever, you'll be a better adult child to your parents. You are now on a trend of moral maturity that will make your life immensely better, and you're very lucky to have it, and we need to be doing this. Everybody in the world needs to be doing this, actually, whether you're in the Air Force or Navy or at IBM, because a lot of our problems in society exist because of this lack of, we're on a moral maturity line that just kind of is creeping up a little bit. But if we could hear, the rest of society is doing this, and you guys are like, and you'll just be better overall as human beings, and your lives will be better. So recognize and understand the value that you've had, and if you want to know what happens when you don't have it, sit down and have a conversation with me, and let me tell you about myself. Thanks. And the food was great, and thank you. That sounded cliche after 500 people are accepting, so, and now I'm going to zip.
Two things. First, it's never good to follow a guy who says he wants to be a politician. It can't go good from there. And second, when you started talking, I didn't think you were going to get up. And I'm like, man, I could sit down and talk, but you stood up. Now I got to stand up. First, to open your doors like this, to allow a group to come in as one of the guests here, it's really appreciated, and your openness is it's very good and truly appreciated. I think, coming in here, I heard a lot of stuff, but I wanted to be objective coming in here. In a personal view, a lot of what I heard, I would think, this is natural. This is what you should do for an organization, whether military, business, whatever. But obviously, as much as we've talked about it, that doesn't necessarily always happen. As one of the resident old people here, because we're always talking about the younger folks here, if you go back in the military 28 years when I first got in, the climate was a lot different. It was, you just do what I say, no reasoning, it was kind of forced and pushed on you, and you felt like you were part of the organization, but maybe not necessarily a part of the organization. And so a lot of what was discussed here this week, you here at Next Jump were always obviously well ahead, and it gave us a lot of things to think about as military as we continue on. And I think the final thing is, for the Air Force folks here, I'm glad I got to be here to watch you folks, because it was a learning experience to see what you guys are thinking, what you guys are doing, and it just made the overall experience just that much better.
Mr. Tatum, I think you read my notes. Don't follow the politician. To the next jumpers, I just want to say, I hope you guys realize that you're on the leading edge of a tidal wave. With the way we're going to look in 20 or 30 years, I think you guys are kind of trailblazers. I think you're pioneers. I think you're extraordinary. And I think what you stumbled upon, don't let it go lightly. Cling to this and fight to stay a part of this, because this is special. I think it's really truly special. And I think that I just think it's very special. I think you guys are all amazing, extraordinary people. So don't let it go lightly. I don't think anything that you're doing is insignificant. I think everything has a meaning and a purpose, and I would just strive to try and see what that purpose and meaning is, because you're not normal. Okay? But I think when we look at the battlefields in 20 or 30 years, or you look at the organizations in 20, 30 years, people are going to be following in your wake. So thank you very much for having us. You're amazing. PACE, ditto what the captain said. You guys have got tons of good ideas. I have a stand-up pad full of stuff that I want to take back to MLEC, and you've got a lot of great products, and you're an amazing organization. And then to Captain Mr. Tatum's point, and then to what's been mentioned, there's some common threads of humanity here that you guys are stumbled upon, or actually haven't stumbled upon. It's very deliberate. You're on them. But I think what you're trying to do, and what we want to do in the military too, is we want to touch humanity with purpose, a meaning. And for the good. So I think everybody here is committed to that. I think that's one of the common themes. It binds us all together. We want to touch this humanity in a purpose, a meaningful way, and leave it better for our legacy. Leave it better for the the people that are coming after us, right? We're going to plant acorns and grow those trees whose shade we'll never see. You know, we're doing it for them. So thank you so much. Renewed vigor to try and go out there and figure out how to implement what you're doing in the military, so we can kind of cultivate these climates of continuous growth for the sailors and airmen out there as well. So thank you so much for having us.
So everything they said, right? So thanks for letting us come in. This is an amazing organization. It is pretty inspiring. I'll tell you that I think, you know, as I look back over my Air Force career at 23 years active duty, 7 years civil service, I grew up out in the boonies of Mississippi, right? No military background whatsoever. And what y'all have shown me, I think, is sort of reinforced the best of what I have seen in the Air Force in my 30 years. You know, Harry, when we were doing our talking points thing, he had asked me the question about, well, hey, how do you do this on a scale of 600,000 person organization? You know, the answer is you don't. We don't do this on the 600,000 person scale. We do it at this level. You know, about 150 people, that's a typical squadron, something like that. So what y'all are letting us do, I think, is you're sharing examples that we can take back that will allow individual leaders at the lower levels, not the lowest levels, but at the lower levels, to create an environment that allows us to do what you have done. And I think that really the message for us is that we can do this, but it has to be a small piece, small steps at a time. I would also say that I think one of the more fun moments for me this week, I was talking to one of the next jumpers on the breaks and said, hey, let me ask you a question. How old do you think the typical airman is in the Air Force? Just out of curiosity. And he answered, 48? And it's no, 77% of the United States Air Force is under 35 years old. They're you. And you know, that look of shock made the trip here worth it. So I want to thank you guys for giving us an opportunity to connect a little bit as Air Force members back to the civilian population, to give y'all a little bit of insight into us. You know, so the number that boggles my mind is that I think 1% of the U.S. population serves in the military now. And we have this thing, I have I'm sorry, it's going a little long. There's a young lady who used to work for me, she got out, she ended up being a talent recruiter at Goldman Sachs. And you know, I was talking to her about diversity and inclusion, and she's like, Randy, she said, you just don't understand. In the civilian world, when you mention military, people think we've all killed somebody and we've all got PTSD. You know, and I'm like, you're kidding me. She's like, no, I'm telling you, that's everywhere. So I'm hoping that's not what y'all think. But this gives us a chance to connect. And I want you to know that, especially for the next jumpers, what y'all have really done for me is you made me reflect on my career and made me realize again that I have seen this culture before in pockets throughout my career. And there have always been leaders out there that create this type of environment. The problem is they've been few and far between. And what you're letting us do is helping us do is provide the tools to have more of those pockets that will create it. So our airmen are you. They just happen to wear the uniform. Thanks for reminding me of just how great our airmen are by showing me how great we are.
Oh, wow. What a fantastic week. You next jumpers have lots of gas. It's very infectious, and it's not because of the food. I couldn't wait to I will not forget my legs are still killing me right now. We're doing all kinds of squats and jumping jacks and everything, but the sleep after lunch was just phenomenal. But the great thing is that your youth, you have something very fragile. I hope you just realize how important it is. I know a whole bunch of older folks that are kind of at the twilight of their careers and everything, or just kind of, you know, bombasting you with a whole bunch of stuff. This is fragile. This is something that is not common, and I think you've been told that a lot, that you really need to protect it, and you need to keep pushing it. Dr. Ham and I have been searching for a couple of years for culture transition kind of programs. We've been to John Maxwell, the Arbinger Institute, Dale Carnegie. We've had PACE when they first got stood up. This is different. Everything else was theory. This is operational. We got a chance to actually see the tools in action, and you're doing a wonderful job. And we're going to try to, with 600 kind of blue-collar workers, try to figure out how we're going to go ahead and implement some of these things with our white shirt force as well. But I want to thank you very much, the PACE, for letting us come, and working with the Navy. That's awesome too, and the VIPs and everything. It was great talking to you at lunch. And the Next Jumpers, you've got a fantastic program here. Thank you very much.
Go ahead. I gotta go get my paper.
Oh, come on, Chief.
So to echo, I appreciate PACE bringing us here, and I appreciate you hosting us. Your hospitality is tremendous. I want to say that this is precious, what you have here. I have a 25-year-old son that works for a tech company in Austin, and they do the food, and they do the snacks, and they do some social events, but they don't do anything like what you do here. And, you know, you long for your children to have opportunities like these, and it's nothing like this. I mean, it's very, very special, and I hope that you realize that, because you go elsewhere, you'll find out that you won't probably, unless you're just very, very fortunate, you'll never see something like this again. I also want to say I really enjoyed the interactions with the Next Jumpers. The intelligence, the passion, they tolerated all our stupid questions, you know, and just elaborated on so many things that were very helpful, especially when I call out you this afternoon. I had a lot of questions about the talking partners, the trust partners. It's something I really want to do. I feel very strongly about it, that I think we could start, we could have some pockets of success and hope that that would spread. He answered so many questions that I'd had a lot of questions answered, but I still had some more. Wanted to probe a little deeper, and I really appreciate your time for that. And just all the interactions, you know, these 3 days have been tremendous. And I just thank you so much. I know your time is precious. I know how valuable it is, and I appreciate each and every one of you hosting us. And like I said, your hospitality is simply the best.
My last.
Good thing.
I'll just stand here so you don't have to work with my ADD. Alright, so me and Miss Q had a great session on Romany. We talked about that, how I have no brain blocks for names. Really horrible names, still working on it. So Ms. Q already alluded to, and what I would like to do, you're all awesome, enjoyed this whole time here, met great people, heard great stories, and thank you for sharing with me and everybody else in this room. Love to hear the vulnerability and that you guys are embracing it. But you guys have a culture of feedback, so I'm going to give you some feedback because that's what we want to incorporate into the Air Force, right? And then I want your feedback on what we kind of came up with that said, hey, this may fix the Air Force. Just like Charlie has this huge vision, right? I took it and then flipped it upside down. But it's something we can incorporate is a lot of the things that you guys do here. However, this is where the feedback comes in, is we didn't get to see the full life cycle of how you onboard somebody all the way to, you know, how you build them from the ground up. The one thing, and I learned a ton, because I was just picking her brain like crazy, but I was like, okay, how do you onboard? You know, what do you do with that feedback? How do you set them up for feedback? How do you teach them? And I learned that you're still kind of working on that process, and I was like, cool, maybe we can work on it together. But that would help, I think, anybody coming through this academy to understand the full cycle process, so that they can go, okay, well, this is how, because it really works together, right, the whole thing. If you take bits and pieces like we tried to do and implement it into your work center, it's not going to look the same. It's not going to turn out right, because you have to set people up. Onboarding is huge. So we'd love to see that happen. So the way we said, okay, this is how we can fix this Air Force wide, is we already have a wingman process, but we don't use it right. So this is where the talking partners, it would be awesome. Let's actually use that as our wingman concept. So we've already got it. Let's just show them how it actually works and use it for something good and right. Right now it's like, okay, don't let your wingman go out and get drunk and drive home. But if I'm hanging out with my wingman, we're probably both doing the same thing, right? So not really working out the same. So that was the one thing, and then we felt like, hey, that'll take a year to get that people really seeing that talking. And how awesome would it be? I know I've been in 23 years, but from the get-go, if I'd had somebody that I was tied to when I came to that organization, every time I moved to a new organization, I'd get that person that I can really talk to and vent and do all those things. I think that's number one, the first thing we need to do Air Force Wide is to do that. And then we move on from there with a good onboarding process, really teaching people how to give feedback, how to take feedback, and then, you know, systematically we can do that for everybody in the Air Force. And then they're good at that, then you can start doing the situational workshops, and you can implement all the other things that you guys do on this huge scale. But it's going to take a lot longer because of the bureaucracy and the policy piece of it. So I felt like this is what we're trying to do at PACE, right? Is we're trying to hit right here, right about the fours. So to change our culture, we felt like we have to do it backwards. So you've got to get the lower levels engaged, right? That's what we're doing here. We're bringing in the squadrons, revitalizing the squadrons, and you start from the bottom up. So once you get those people and they love this stuff and they start making changes in the squadrons, the top level leadership is just going to have to conform. This is the new way we do things, and they're like, I'm busy. I just got to take care of all these big strategic level things. I got to fight this war. I don't have time to sit here and mentor you, all day long. So that was something that Ms. Q, did I forget anything in there that we had talked about? So there's that LHF is huge. That'll be a big part of getting people to stop hiding. And I'll stop hiding that. But I want to get your feedback on that. So we don't have to do that here, but send me your inputs. Talk to me about it. Love to hear. So love you guys. I want to come work here. Hire older people. Now back to my horrible diet.
I'll send a resume too.
Awesome. So Devon, I'll close this part with a few words. I didn't look at yours, but clearly on the insecure side.
Big frowny.
No, thanks for everyone's thoughts. It's very humbling to hear kind of reflections back. I think it's, we do put a lot into this. I think we worked really hard at kind of opening ourselves up and I think kind of sharing who we are. And I can't tell you how much we're grateful, I think, for your openness. I think what I loved when the PACE idea was kind of flown out with Jerry's and Colonel Rizzuto in terms of this particular academy, I loved it in the sense that when first I was like, well, who are they going to invite with it? But the fact you're already leaders and you've already made your mark within something in transforming kind of leadership within the Air Force, I loved it because it's put the terms aside, the programs aside, that there's already a dedication in being the lead and trying to improve the cultures that you're responsible for. And, I think we loved having you here. We had many. I think this is close to our 25th group. This has been one of the best groups that we've had in terms of, I think, just the openness and willingness to come with an open mind and also be skeptical and I think ask good questions along the way. So maybe I'll just share a few thoughts. I won't have time for feedback for everyone, but Steve and I loved it's the first time I've ever heard feedback, kind of tied to the accountability part. And I love it. I'll have to grapple with that because we talk about feedback all the time, but there's something there in the sense of it is a form of both, especially if you kind of make it easier for people to give you feedback, you're making it easy people for holding you accountable. And that accountability could be in the work and it could be on yourself. So it's very insightful. I like that a lot. There was another part of, I think many ideas around kind of what to start with in terms of adoption and where to start. And you get the answer for that. Definitely we want to know. But when Captain Smith was here yesterday, we were talking about things, and Captain Smith and Michael and Sorer, we've known him now coming on about 2 years, so he's been in kind of his position. He came to know us before he'd gone to the Mansour, and he's now been there about 1.5 years. Their deployment in terms of when the ship sales got extended, so it's still another 9 months or so away. And we were just kind of catching up, and he said, Greg, the part that's been so challenging is they're more hard days and more struggle days than they're good days. And he was just commenting how appreciative. He said, this is like a shot in the arm to come back here, see what you guys are talking about and kind of iterating on, to be reminded to see other folks, in many cases, hearing for it the first time and thinking about some of these where he'd been in a position 1.5 years ago. And I think it helped him to have some perspective that, a lot of it doesn't work, and some of it's and this is the hard part, some of it's the language, some of it's which group you start with, some of it's the sequence of which ones you start with. And I think, I say that in the sense of come back to us, you're part of our family now, I forget who exactly said that, but share with us what works. If you really are experimenting, it will be more harder days than it will be good ones. With perspective, you'll see if it was easy to do, it probably would have already been done. So, I appreciated that comment, and I think for us, there's what I told Scott was that it's very similar. I mean, we're knee deep in this thing. We have we're up to our neck in our challenges of Charlie and Manuel probably shared some of it. As we've talked about and kind of tackled the business too, and in many ways our investors kind of like this, but the amount of energy we spend in this, we get our own kind of attacking and our challenges around, do we spend too much energy in this? How's it gonna pay out for the business? We had an investor that was one of our VIP guests come to New York, and he was the former head of HR for Deutsche Bank. And you could, I didn't even have to tell him the feedback, although it's all anonymous. It was basically like, I get how Business One can kind of help too, but how does Business Two help Business One? I'm guaranteed there's nobody in PACE that's asking that question. But he did admit it. So. But my point being is I think this is a shot in the arm for us, and I think it's a shot in the arm to see the questions, the engagement, appreciate the reflection back. It is. As much as I wish this was normal, and that's what we strive for, and I think to influence other organizations in all walks of life, that this can be more normal, and in 20 to 30 years, hopefully it is. Today, in the moment of it, it oftentimes doesn't feel like it. So this is a shot in the arm for us. We appreciate you being here.
But
we just got drinking, Max.
So you probably wonder why I walk around with this little book. You're like, why do you walk around with this book all the time? So this is Thoughts of a Philosophical Fighter Pilot by James Stockdale. If you don't know who he was, Medal of Honor winner, Vice President candidate, Admiral in the Navy, but also spent 2,763 days in the Hanoi, Hilton, and other Vietnamese prisoner of war camps, and was the senior POW in Vietnam. So if you had to boil it all, and the reason I'm going to say this, it's relevant, so you like just get involved with it, and I will, but I want to read this paragraph to you, to all of us as we walk out into the world out of here today, because it really boils down everything that we're talking about to about 7 words. This is from an address that he gave, speech delivered to the graduating class of 1981 at John Carroll University in Cleveland, Ohio. Father O'Malley, he's the president of that school, asked that I talk about ethical notions of the sort that would qualify as growing within a person's interior self and not simply a set of lessons learned from without. Be assured that I am not just building a set of guideposts for prison or for a more general military setting. My conclusions are infinitely general. From this 8-year experience in prison, I distilled one all-purpose idea. It is a simple idea, an idea as old as the scriptures, an idea that is the epitome of high-mindedness, an idea that naturally and spontaneously comes to men under pressure. If the pressure is intense enough or of long enough duration, this idea spreads without even the need for its enunciation. It just takes root naturally. It is an idea that in this big, easy world of yakety-yak seems to violate the rules of game theory, not of reason. It violates the idea of Adam Smith's invisible hand, our ideas of human nature, and probably the second law of thermodynamics. And that idea is, before I tell you that, anybody read Good to Great? So Jim Collins wrote Good to Great business book, but he interviewed Admiral Stockdale for that book. And so during the interview, you can go online and find this. Jim Collins has this recorded. He says, I was sitting there with Admiral Stockdale talking about his experience. So Admiral Stockdale looks at Jim Collins and he goes, you know, Jim, I'm bluffing. And Jim's like, what do you mean you're bluffing? He goes, yeah, Jim, because you know what? I know what my character is all about, and you never will. So I'm sitting on the phone the other night with my best friend. I don't know if he considers me his best friend, but I consider him to be my best friend. And on the February 10th of this year of 2017, he's a retired military guy, works as a civilian in the Air Force now. On the 10th of February, he got diagnosed with stage 4 non-operable pancreatic cancer. He's got a wife, 16-year-old son. So here we are 3 months down the road now. It was over Memorial Day weekend. And he goes, you know, Rich, he goes, I want to live longer. I don't know how much time I have left on this earth. But other than that point, this illness that I had, it's the best thing that ever happened to me. So here's the lesson. That idea is we're our brother's keeper. We are, I'm trying to make it dramatic, but we are our brother's keeper. And that's more than just, hey, dude, you had too much to drink, I'll drive home. That is everything that's going on here. Charlie, Greg, Megan, you're all being each other's keeper. And you have a responsibility, every one of you in this organization, to make sure that when you see people that are involved in destructive behavior to themselves or to other people, that you roll in and you say, hey, that's not in your best interest. It's not in our best interest, and we need to help you change that. But after 8 years in prison, a guy who's been a Medal of Honor winner and an admiral, but he says it's applicable to all human beings. I am my brother's keeper. So thanks for giving me that time to share that lesson.
Courtney is here.
What do you think?
I don't
Courtney?
think we have space here. Yeah, we should go there.
Lounge. We also have pizza. That's what
All right, pizza. So we're done with healthy.
Yeah.
Extra cheese. There's no kale on the pizza.
It's going to take me 13 weeks, okay?